welcome back to my whiskey pick of the week. You know, I'm Eric the Whiskey Guy, and as always, as usual, as expected, and as advertised, I'm bringing you a treat today. Now, this week is a special episode, especially for me. I get to go way back, a throwback, sorta, kinda, you can say, with the Maker's Mark. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, today we're going to be reviewing, and I'm going to be trying for the first time, the Maker's Mark 101. Now, like I said, me and Maker's Mark, we go way back. This was actually my very first favorite go-to everyday bourbon, Maker's Mark. So I'm excited to see how the 101 is, give you a little insight about Maker's Mark and kind of my experience with them. Now, me and Maker's Mark, we have a love-hate relationship. Now, I'm not gonna say that I am a bourbon expert, but I am a bourbon vet on what not to do when drinking bourbon and whiskey. And Maker's Mark is a prime example for that. Now, Maker's Mark is pretty much, and this is my opinion, Maker's Mark is basically like the measuring stick of how I like to measure, grade, evaluate bourbons, upscale or a downsize from Maker's Mark. When I first started drinking bourbon, collecting bourbon, etc., etc. So it's a little bourbon logic, strategic thought process that I've used, and it kind of got me to where I am today. But using that same logic, I never really go back to Maker's Mark. And I'll give you guys an example. Now, let's just take this bottle, right? You got the Maker's Mark 101. Now, if you go in the store and you see Maker's Mark 101, my first thought was, I compared it to Wild Turkey 101. 101, 101. So once you start doing the comparisons, the pros and cons, you kind of get caught up in a rabbit hole, and you can't really get yourself out of. Like, I'll look at it and be like, okay, now this bottle, for an example, $40. Wild Turkey is probably about $25. So I'm like, okay, 101, 101. Okay, this is $40. The Wild Turkey is $24, $25. So does that make this one double better, or are they just jacking the price on me because it's Maker's Mark? So I'm like, okay, I'll come back to that. Then I look at the Wild Turkey. Okay, let me get the Wild Turkey 101, because it's 101 proof. But then I say, okay, a fifth is $25, but I can get a handle or 1.75 of Canadian Club for $17. Now I'm doubling. So now I done went in the store. I was about to leave with Maker's Mark 101, and using my thought process, I done downgraded all the way to a tub of Canadian Club. And I did that every time for about 2 years, trying to compare. Now, in defense to Maker's Mark, Maker's Mark 46, Maker's 46 cask strength was the first time I ever tasted a bottle over $60. That was the very first time, and that day, shout out to my buddy Forrest D. Forrest, he was the one that he put me on to the Maker's 46 cask strength, and ever since then, I was like, there's no going back. You cannot go back. Once you taste the Maker's 46, that's pretty much, at that time, and this was about 6-7 years ago, that was like the pinnacle of Maker's Mark. Now since then, obviously they done dropped some newer ones. They got the Stellar Age, which is never available, so I'm always frustrated that I can't pretty much go higher than the 46 right now. But that's kind of where I am with Maker's Mark. So that's just a little insight on the history that me and Maker's Mark have together, and I love all the Maker's Mark. And this is one of the ones that I have not tried. When I originally purchased this this bar, about, I want to say like 4 years ago, Maker's Mark was the first bottle that I had. I always made sure to keep Maker's Mark on deck. Then I upgraded. I'm not gonna say an upgrade, but then I started getting the Maker's Mark Cash Strength and just went from there. So I'm excited to have this back in my collection. Hopefully I can keep it in my rotation, and we're gonna see how it is. Now it doesn't have that normal Maker's Mark, the original smell to it. You can actually smell they added more spices or to this bottle. So let's see how it is. That's real good. That is real good. That's a smooth Maker's Mark. This is a good one. This is a good one. I'll kind of want to compare it to. It kind of got a little Knob Creek 9 feel to it. That's how it kind of goes down. It goes down like a Knob Creek 9. This is definitely a hitter. It's a banger right here, especially in the price range that it's in. You can get around $40. So on the Maker's Mark poll, I would say if Maker's Mark was cars, this would be the Altima. This would be the Altima. Altima, that's a great car. Now obviously it's not the Affinity, but it's an Altima. This is definitely an Altima. So you know it's not a Sentra, but it's a good car. You can definitely go from here to Alaska if you want to. So that's what this 101 is. It's slightly better than the Wild Turkey 101, but I don't know if it's enough to justify the price difference. Maker's Mark, and another thing, the love-hate. They pride themselves on their marketing strategies, and I love that. I'm a sales guy, so I love the sales and marketing aspect behind the scenes of what these companies, what these brands are doing, and they stride themselves on the marketing. And one marketing that they have is every bottle is hand dipped in red wax. That's their signature. No one else can have it. That's their fingerprint. You always know. They say Jack Daniels is the most recognized bottle, but I would have to disagree and say that Maker's Mark is the most recognized bourbon bottle, because even if you turn it around, no matter how you look at it, you still know this is a Maker's Mark. So with that being said, since they do strive a lot on their marketing, I think they do kind of reflect their prices on what they like to do as far as marketing. Because when they first came out in 1958, one of their slogans was it's expensive because we are, or something along those lines. Like, they got straight to the point, which is very clever, especially back in the late 50s, early 60s. And it was a power couple, William and Marjorie Samuels. She was the first female distillery owner to basically have their own signature bottle, like their own logo or their own trademark. She did that, and she did all the marketing behind the scenes. And she actually was just inducted in the Bourbon Hall of Fame a couple years ago. So she's very known, very well respected in the bourbon industry. So I think once you add all that up and you know all that, then it's kind of like, all right, now I'll pay a couple more for the 101. But it's a great bottle. It's a great drink. It's definitely something to sip on. It's my best experience that I had with Maker's Mark ever. But this is the first time that I actually put one in a can glass and actually sipped on it, because Like I was saying earlier, I'm not an expert, but I am a vet to what not to do. And I used to grade them and test them by doing shots. So I had many mornings waking up hungover, headaches. Do not want to have that feeling again. Wait 2 days and do it all again. Now imagine doing that with the regular Maker's Mark, and then doing that with a bottle of Maker's Mark Cask Strength, which comes in like around 112 proof. Now, to my defense, I did have that same Cask Strength bottle for probably about a year. I used to do like little quarter shots because that's how strong it is. So this is the first time that I actually sat back, smelled the Maker's Mark, see how it is on the nose, see all the different varieties of flavors that's in, and it's a great mixture. Like I said, it kind of reminds me of a Knob Creek 9, which is still good company to be in. So it's definitely up there. It can be this bottle could be an everyday bottle, a go-to bottle, a go-to everyday, or even your favorite bourbon. If you told me your favorite bourbon was Maker's Mark 101, I wouldn't have no complaints with that. I actually did a vote in one of my little bourbon groups online and on social media, and I just straight up asked, which one of y'all think better, the 101 or the 46? Now, in my opinion, I'm gonna still give a nod to 46. I thought it'd probably be a overwhelming decision that it would be the 46, but I was just kind of curious to see what other people thought, and it actually came in. The 46 was, let's say that was 65%, so 101 at 35%. That's pretty good, and that was over 100 people kind of chimed in on it. So that's pretty good for this bottle. So that lets me know that this is still like it's still in the mid range of Maker's Mark, but you can't really go too higher than that. So it's definitely a great bourbon to have. I love to have Maker's Mark around like the holidays. If you look at the bottle, it just something just screams Christmas to me. It just feels like a Christmas bottle. I always try to keep one around that time. So moving forward, I would definitely recommend the Maker's Mark 101. This is Eric. Y'all have a wonderful day. We'll see y'all again next week.